Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. We are having so much fun. Okay, thank you for joining us. We're going to go right in. We got so many questions. They're like piling up, piling up. We're trying to get through as many as we can so we can get your answers so every person watching can have an Aliyah and Shalom bias right now. Aliyah, how do you translate Aliyah? Like a rising up, a betterment, improvement to fulfill your shlemus, your perfection in this world. Okay, go. Let's go, Gila, before I babble on. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. So
Okay.
Sari's asking, sometimes I feel more emotional and vulnerable and need a little more attention and love from my husband. Anytime I express this need to him, he takes it personally. I try to reassure him that he does a great job as a husband, but I'm just feeling more needy. How can I express this need to him without him feeling like a failure?
Beautiful question. I'm so impressed.
I
That's
love the awareness, Leah, right?
it's
It's
like
legit.
self-aware, and it's also getting him understanding where he's coming from, what he's feeling. It's like good on you. Good job. Okay, so you're on the right track because a lot of these things, like if you know, um, having an insight into that and understanding that dynamics is half the battle. It's like if we're complaining all the time and complaining, we don't realize we're complaining, we're just a nag and we're just like everyone thinks we're unhappy and they're unhappy and our husband feels like, oh my gosh, what does she think? Like she's miserable and it's my fault, whatever. But if we know, oh, golly, I've been complaining all day. Let me like zip it. Let me get some duct tape. Let me stop complaining. Let me say some nice things. Let me sprinkle some compliments in there. And if you're complaining too much, ladies, get more friends because you need to complain to each other so that you don't, we got 9/10 of speech. If you use it all on your husband, you'll kill the poor guy. So be careful, Anyway, okay, back to the question. The question's a gorgeous question. You get it, you understand it, and very, very good. So understanding how a man takes it, a man always takes it like it's my fault. She says, I don't have enough, anything to wear. Yes, it's because it's my fault. I didn't provide her with enough money for clothes. If she says, ugh, this food tastes terrible, it's somehow I didn't buy her the right ingredients or pay for the right ingredient, and whatever. A man always takes it personally. So don't think it's your husband and there's something wrong with him and whatever. That's just kind of how they do because their whole makeup is built to make you happy. And when you're not happy, they feel like I'm doing something wrong. So knowing that deep insight about men and how they feel, even if they deny it and even if they say, it's fine and whatever, it's part of the brie. It's part of the nature of the world that God created. So it's just very, very valuable to know that. It gives us a lot of strength to know how to interact in a way that's going to be most productive. So, yes, you say it all the time. Don't take it personally. Don't believe he's not listening to that. So you need to get more support systems so you're doing most of your complaining or a lot of your venting and complaining in other places or journaling about it or writing down, or thinking, dealing with it in other ways. If you have a sister and she complains to you and you complain to her, great. That helps a lot. The other thing is to before you open your mouth and complain, not after you've made the complaint, say don't take it personally. Say, I'm about to say something. I just need to vent, I just am feeling needy right now. I just feel, whatever. Don't take this personally, but I'm feeling like this happened or that happened, or I want to report this, or, I'm upset about this, or this is bothering me, whatever it is. But now you've put it into a crucible, into a kli, a bucket, or you've put it in a place where a person can, your husband, instead of immediately going to the place where men go, which is it's my fault and I'm to blame for her unhappiness, he can hear it in a better way. So your biggest thing, you tried the preamble, do it more and better before the fact, try to complain less. And if you try all those things try it at home, I think you'll have success with it. I think you'll see it's much better. Yeah, great job. Great job though, having self-awareness. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Oh, you're on mute.
Hey, Adina's asking, for
Okay.
some reason, it's always a competition between me and my husband and I, who had a harder day, who feels more unwell. I want just to be a support for him, but only if he'll be a support for me, which he never is. So it always ends up with the same cycle. How can we get out of this? I feel like we see this all the time. Like, you're tired. No, I'm tired, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know if this is possible, and you know your husband better than I do, obviously, because I don't know him at all. I don't know you at all, whatever. But the it could be possible that there's a way to have humor in it, to like start making jokes about it and say, I know, it's true that I always have a much worse day than you, but why don't you tell me what happened at your less stressful, less bothersome day? I don't know, I'm making it up how to make it funny. It's not coming out funny, but I'm saying in the moment when you're with your husband and you're connecting with him, trying to connect with him, and he's just come home and whatever, and these conversations typically take place, that would be the time to try experiment. It might fall flat. It might not work, but it's definitely worth a try. For instance, I have a family who, they're always blaming each other for everything. Like, like their whole household was, you did this and why did you do that? And you left the milk out. No, it was you who left the milk out. So they start, this is a suggestion I made. I'm actually not sure how well it worked out because I didn't get a follow-up, but the advice I gave is always take the blame. Say, I know it's my fault that the milk got left out, and then that would engender a little bit of a chuckle on his part, or it's all your fault, something. If you can inject humor. So if that's possible, that's the A plus 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 solution to this. Okay. If that doesn't work, or you can't figure out how to do that, and it doesn't seem like your husband's the type to imbibe what you're saying, to do that, then the next thing I would do would be to figure out a way where you can each really, really be heard. Okay. Not so easy because a lot of times when we're talking to someone, they're talking, and while they're talking, we've got this chatter in our head of what we want to say next, and we're so focused on trying to remember what it is that we're saying that we don't hear a word they're saying. And what you have to realize is that if I were to ask you, what's more important to you? That whatever you're going to say, oh no, but I had a terrible day, or my boss said this, or whatever else you're thinking of. What's more important to you, that chatter in your head or your husband in front of you? Be sad if you said the chatter, but anyway, let's just assume, okay, that you have your head on straight or whatever, and then it's true that you say, yeah, of course my husband's more important than the chatter. But most times, what the Yetzer Hara makes us do is the evil inclination makes us do is it has us this prioritize what we want to say over the person we love most in the world. And here's the guarantee from Hashem: if you just duct tape it, you silence the chatter. You like that. Shut up. You stop the chatter and you pay attention to your husband. 9 times out of 10, you'll remember what you were going to say. But even if you forget, for some reason, you can just say to yourself, Hashem wanted me to forget to not be able to say it. Hashem knows everything that's going on in the world. And for whatever reason, I focused purely on my husband. I really, really listened. And what I wanted to say is gone. Maybe it'll come up later, maybe it won't. But that's not what's most important to me, to my husband, or to Hashem. What's more important is that I gave him all the listening that a person deserves, that our husband deserves. Now, Leah, he doesn't do it for me. Hello. The number one way to get him to listen better to you is to listen better to him. So this whole thing about, you had a worse day and he had a worse day, try and use humor. Second best thing is to throw away your needs and just cater to his needs or whatever. You will find there's a level of closeness there that is available in no other way, even though it's hard at the time. I get it. Okay. And the third thing that you can do to catapult this is to sit down and have a conversation and say, I just see this weird competition about who's has it worse. Can we start a new competition of who has it best? Like we're both pretty happy. Well, I can't speak for you, I guess, but for me, I'm happy with my life. Yes, I have fetching. Yes, I need to vent. Yes, I have annoyance and challenges in my day. But I don't want that to define our lives. I don't want to spend the next 20 years talking about who has a more miserable time. What can we do as an alternative, and take the problem and put it in your husband's lap? I wish you luck on it. I'd love to hear how it goes. Try any one of these or a combination of them. But it's very, very crucial that there's not that tension in the home of competing for who had a worse day. Very, very good that you can even recognize it. You should be proud of yourself. Okay, go ahead, Gila. I see you got a lot
Okay,
coming
great.
in.
Devorah's asking, my friend is very controlling and unkind to her husband. I know he's unhappy because he told my husband, but she refuses therapy. Do I have any place to speak to her about this?
Say it again. Who is it to her?
It's just a friend of hers.
Well, there's one unwritten rule, or maybe it's written somewhere, I don't know, but it's like never give unasked for advice. Like if she's coming to you and say, "What do you think I can do?" then I think you can do it, but I don't think you have a place to interfere. Now, if you're close with her, that's a different story. If you're confidants with each other, or you're her confidant and she shares her problems with you, then of course you can say something. But and it could be, the most I would do in a very um, non-confidential type of relationship, if she's just periphery there and you feel like you can say something that would make a difference, the most you can do of unasked for advice is say, you know, I had some thoughts that might be helpful to you, but I'm kind of embarrassed to tell them to you because I don't want to be a know-it-all or like I'm better or that I'm judging you. But I did have some thoughts that would be helpful. If you're open to it, just let me know. Maybe do that in a text. And so that she doesn't have to be put on the spot and say, "Oh, okay," when she really wouldn't want that. And at the end of the text, you can say, "If I'm available if you want," and then say, "If you aren't, totally fine." Something like that. That would be the most I would do. It's a good question. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Hannah's asking, my husband goes to bed really late and then can't function so well the next day. He'll come home and nap and isn't a present husband or father. I know you talk about not being a policewoman, but when he acts so childish, where do I put myself?
Hmm, I hear. So I don't know what conversations you've had with him before about it. If you've nagged him, yelled at him, berated him, made him feel badly, put him down about those issues, you're kind of like you burned the bridge. It's like you already ruined everything. Sorry to say, but you can't go back now and say, I would like to have a conversation, whatever. It's like a little bit too late. A little bit too little too late. So then you're going to have to go and maybe get a third party to intervene on such a thing, meaning go to a rabbi or rebbitzin or say, well, let's go to therapy for one session to discuss this issue. If you have a clean slate and it's just been already bothering you, or you've said it nicely to him a few times, but you haven't yelled at him, nagged him, or been mean in any way about it, then you can say, in a time when you're both well fed, both well rested, good luck with that. So that you're meeting with him and you say, I wanted to talk to you about the our scheduling because I really feel like uh you going to bed so late makes you less present to us, and then you're napping and whatever, and I don't know if this is how you want our life to be, then I guess I'll live with it. It's hard for me and it's challenging for me, and I feel lonely in the afternoons without you or whatever. But if I'd love to brainstorm alternative ways. I just don't want 20 years to pass, the kids to be grown, married, off, and having their own kids, and you sitting there saying, "I wish I'd spent more time with them." Like I would be sad if that was the case. I would be sad for me, I would be sad for you, and I'd be sad for the kids. Um, Now, you have to keep in mind before you have a conversation like that, you have to start with, "I love you. You're the best husband. I'm so lucky to have you." Anything you can think of in your mind that you could compliment him about and make him feel worthy and deserving of your love before you go into that conversation, that would be very crucial. But then the other thing is, if the reason he is doing that and napping in the afternoon is because when he comes home, you're like, "Here, the baby needs a diaper. Oh, also, can you clean off the table? We've got guests coming and they're going to be here any minute." If you've been barking out orders for him, he's doing an avoidance tactic, which is, "I'm so exhausted, I need to sleep," because he doesn't want to be present in that situation. So if that's the case, if there's something you've been doing, or you might have a very aggressive or annoying child, kids go through stages. And you know, when a kid is very, very troublesome or hard to love, you know, which happens, they go through phases, or maybe that's who they are for all the time, whatever. And it's whatever. This is the Nisayan, the test that Hashem has given you. So if he's doing that out of avoidance, this is something you could talk about. You could say, you know, I realize when you come home, I'm not very nice to you. I haven't been very welcoming. I haven't, you know, brought love towards you. I've like bossed you around or been whatever, or the kid is unpleasant to be with, whatever it is, whatever you think might be causing him to avoid family time, quote unquote. Um, you know, you can say in a very soft manner, you know, to bring it to his attention and say, you know, I hear it. What can I do to make it easier for you or make it better for you? Now, if you have a history of conflict with your husband, you're always fighting and there's a lot of tension in the house and you've never had good track record of solving communication issues, I would not do what I just, you know, I would not have this conversation. You need a third party because it's not going to go well. But if you do, if you have told him things like, you know, I feel very badly when you put me down in front of your mom, you know, it hurts my feelings, and he stops doing that, you know, or any other number of conflicts or ways of being that didn't work for you and he's improved them, then I would have a conversation like that. And if not, then I definitely would try and seek out a third party, make sure it's a from Orthodox therapist if you go, because they just will get you and know where you're coming from. And or Rebbitzin, even his mother, no, not his mother, his aunt, or you know, somebody in the periphery of your family who's wise, who you both respect, would also work. Usually it's outside the family, a rebbitzin or a rabbi or something like that. Okay, good luck with it. I feel ya. I get it. I get where you're coming from. And I think that it's definitely there's definitely solve hacks. There's definitely life hacks to get better at it. Okay, go ahead, Gila. What else you got?
Okay, so Tsippy's asking, I started reading your book and love how you write that women don't need equality or control, but they need to be cherished. It really spoke to me. The problem is, after years of seeking control and equality, I don't know how to let go of this and be cherished. I don't even think my husband wants to cherish me after how I've been all these years. What's a good starting point for me?
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. So you just have to remember you're on a growth curve and don't beat yourself up for where you were and who you were, whatever. When you learn something and then you don't follow through and work on it, then you shame on you, whatever. But if you well, not shame on you, you know what I'm saying? Like then you can feel bad about yourself for not working on something you would like to improve on. But don't beat yourself for you didn't know and it was never brought to your attention. So I'm telling you right now, I will be mad at you personally if you're mad at yourself for being the way you were. Don't beat yourself up. Grow what you already have. So I'm sure there are instances in your marriage and in your life where you are great to your husband, you know, where you just shine. Grow those areas. That is what you know. Rav Yerucham in the Musar Vadim talks about. You know how you need to grow your strengths rather than beat yourself up about your weaknesses. That's the best way to have sustainable long-term growth. Yeah. So I think that if you put your heart and soul into being the new person and trying to um, on a daily basis, not something like, you know, this is a huge goal and I'm trying to change overnight, but that, you know, I usually control my husband 10 times every day. Do this. Why didn't you come here? Go, pick up the kids from carpool. Do that, you know, whatever. So I usually bark at him 10 times a day. Now I do nine. You know, treat yourself very, very kindly as you grow and then reward yourself as you grow. Yasher koach for even recognizing it because that's often half the battle. Okay, good. What else, Gila?
Okay, next question is from Khaviva. She's asking, how do I bring up sensitive topics without starting an argument? I try to use H.O.T. Leah, you could explain what that is, but
You
my
guys are
husband,
awesome. You guys are awesome. Everyone's
yeah,
like yeah, an
we
aficionado.
have
I'm really,
some,
it's,
yeah, connoisseurs here. I
yeah.
tried to use H.O.T, but my husband tells me I'm an attacker. Hmm.
Hmm. Okay, so H.O.T was when there's a whole chapter, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Marriage Secrets by Leah Richheimer, 220 Torah sources. And the other thing is I get all my money, my royalties from this are all donated for Shalom Bayis education. So I can push this all I want because what I get out of it is making you happy. I'm a full-time volunteer. So anyway, what was the question again? Sorry, what was the question, Gila?
No worries. Yeah, so she's saying to try using hot, but her husband
Oh, yeah,
feels
yeah. Okay, so yeah.
attacked when she does
Okay,
that.
fine.
Yeah.
So chapter 4 or 5 or something like that is about communication, and it's hot. H is for how to say something, O is for the outcome desired, and the T is for the timing. And you use those three to be able to communicate for your husband for the best results, communicating for results. So that's the crucial part. So the tone, like let me give you an example. Um, can you please do the dishes? That's number one. Can you please do the dishes? Is number two. And oh, could you please do the dishes? Number three. Now, which one would you want to hear? If your husband was asking you something, right? So, something about your tone, even if you're using hot, but your tone of voice. This is my guess because I don't, I'd have a lot more questions if we were in person of like, what did you say? What did he say? How did they say it? How did he hear it? Did he grow up in a household where his mother screamed her head off all the time? And then no matter what you do, he feels screamed at, even from the slightest thing. Did you, are you using directives instead of requests, like take out the trash, or is it possible to take out the trash? That's one of the biggest secrets, is to start saying, is it possible, before everything you say, and your tone will just naturally grow better and sweeter and softer. The other thing is when you're in the middle of barking, or what did he say? What's the word he said? Yikes. He didn't say bark. What did he say?
That attacking.
Attacking, yeah, when he thinks you're in attack mode. So the immediate way around the attack mode is, if before you say something, to think to yourself, how do I want him to hear it? That's a very powerful mind shift in you. And it also could be that you start saying, I hope this doesn't come out like in attack mode, but could you take out the trash? No, but just say it nicely. So you can start prefacing everything you say for that, so that he recognizes that you heard him. Do you know how much a husband wants to be heard, like you want to be heard? We all want to be heard. And oh, Leah, well, I hear him, he doesn't hear me. You know what? It takes time. Just if you hear him the way you want to be heard, eventually you will get there, God willing. And if you're not, okay, so whatever. At least you've done the right thing. But that is the first thing that I would work on. I would work really, really on the tone of how you're saying things, and to preface it by saying, I don't mean to be in attack mode, but blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. What else? Do we have time for another question?
Yeah, we have time for another question,
Okay.
and it's Toby. She's asking, my husband came from a home where there was a lot of name calling. I told him I don't think it's respectful when he says certain things to me, and it's not the kind of marriage I want to have. An example is you're being foolish or you're being a ditz, etc. I try not to feel offended, but it's also the fact that it's not how I envisioned my marriage. I don't think I'm being too sensitive.
Right. I hear. So, what did he say when she said this? She didn't really answer that. I need to know, when she tried to correct him, where he went with it. Like, did he, you know, um,
Well, the fact that she's saying I don't think I'm being too sensitive,
means
kind
he
of,
probably said, "Oh, you're
yeah,
being too sensitive." Yeah,
yeah, like,
you're
oh, what's the
good,
big deal? Yeah.
Gila. Okay, all right, so fine. I hear. Um, yeah, so it's not acceptable for a husband to name call his wife. It's not actually, there's nicknames is a big no-no, calling somebody, oh, you're tubby or something like that, nicknames are a big problem. I think I want to say us or derisive, but I don't know. But I know that it's that forbidden from the Torah. So it's wrong what he's doing. That is for sure. The the hack for it, the solve for it, is to have him understand in a deep conversation, he's eaten, you've eaten, you're both rested or whatever, have a conversation with him and say, is there some, I know this is where the milieu that you grew up in. I know that this is the history or whatever, and it worked perfectly fine in your family, perhaps, but I would like to extricate it. Is that the right word? I'd like to extricate it from our family life. It hurts me. It bothers me. I feel badly. I feel like it's doing bad things for the kids to hear you calling me things. Um, and I want you to take your hands and cup them, and you're putting. This is what I'm doing for the audio listeners, is saying, put the problem in his lap. Say, this is too painful for me. This is hurtful to me. What do you think we can do about it? Uh, and I think if you have a history of good communication with your husband, he would honor that. If you don't, then you need to bring in a third party, because it's really not acceptable. Um, and even though it means that you telling him that means that it's kind of making, fun of, or putting down his family of origin, including your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, the siblings, and everybody, whatever, there is a fine line between, um, being respectful to them, but also being absolutely clear of the boundaries you need in your home. And in your home, it's not acceptable behavior. So, but again, if you're going to do much better if you find out what he thinks, how to fix it, rather than you coming up with, this is the new law, never can this happen again. But if you were to say to him, listen, I don't know what to do. This is so painful for me. It's hard for me. I don't feel like it's right, and it's upsetting, and I don't think it's good chinuch for the kids. What do you think we can do about it? And he says, oh, you're being too sensitive. Then you say, maybe I am too sensitive, but I have a right to be sensitive. It's like, it's not like, oh, I shouldn't be sensitive now. I'm sensitive to this. Can you please help figure out a way that we can get around it? And I wish you a lot of hatzlacha on it, because it's a sensitive area. And and again, if he grew up with that, it's going to be a little bit hard to shift. But if you can tell him from your heart, your emotions from deep inside, how it makes you feel, maybe he'll have rahmanas, he'll have pity, or I don't know if that's a translation, on you, and work on it. Okay, I wish you the best of luck. Oh, we're out of time, but I just want to give everybody a bracha for an aliyah and shalom bayis and nachas and joy and happiness in your life. And the homework for the week is, one time this week, think of a way that you can complain less to your husband. Call a friend, call a sister, write a journal. One thing less this week to do, to not complain. Okay, it's Leah Richheimer for Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next week.